welcome back to another exciting edition of JD's Top 8s here on JD's YouTube. Today's Top 8 is an interesting Top 8. I went and looked for the lowest rated movies, and then I took the ones I know, because I don't want to speak on stuff I do not know, and I rated them for the least worst to the worst. So 8 is not the worst of the worst, and number 1 is worst of the worst. Jumping in, number 8 is Universal Soldier: The Return. I love Universal Soldier. The first one was fantastic. I am a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. It was a perfect movie. It was about soldiers from Vietnam. They brought them back to life, and they couldn't die. But there were drawbacks, which is good. You can't just have overpowered people. They needed to be cooled down, and they needed to take a drug. At this time, he was supposed to be retiring. The story was bad. The acting was bad. This is a guilty pleasure because of Bill Goldberg, wrestler. That is why I wanted to watch this movie in the first place. This is why I watched this movie more than one time. It's the guilty pleasure of having a WWE superstar, WCW superstar, in a movie with a huge star like Jean-Claude Van Damme. Number 7 is Disaster Movie. This is on here because this had come out in a time where all the parody movies just came out at once, and it was awful. The jokes were awful. The parody was awful itself. It was a disaster. And you had to put it up against the likes of Scary Movie. That was a great parody that had over the top humor, but not so much that it made the movie unwatchable. It made the movie good. It was funny. This wasn't. This was just a cash grab at something that was huge at the time. Number 6 is another parody movie. It's called Vampires Suck. I absolutely cannot stand the Twilight movies. I can't do it. The acting is awful in the Twilight movies. The story is awful in the Twilight movies. However, my wife does love them. I don't think less of her. We have difference of opinion. I did buy her one because they came out around Valentine's Day every year. So I buy her the new one, and we'd sit there and watch together, and I'd be quiet because that's what you do when you respect somebody you love. You compromise, and you try to enjoy something with them. It wasn't that I did this because it wasn't the fact that I was enjoying the movie. I was enjoying her enjoying the movie. It is the kind of thing where she smiles and is happy, and it just brightens my day up. So she loves the movies. She went and seen all the movies in the movie theater. She absolutely adores them. So I absolutely have her back on that. However, so you think that I would love a movie making fun of them. This movie, they could have done it right. Again, comparing to Scary Movie, which made fun of all the horror movie tropes, perfect. You have a film that is that divided by critics, and you don't capitalize on how much fun you can have making fun of it. No, you just jabbing cheap knockoffs and cheap jokes. It was like my children came up with it. No offense to my children. I'm just saying there wasn't really thought and effort, and there could have been because it was just easy to make fun of. And they took the easy road instead of really digging in deep. Number 5 is Battlefield Earth. This is the one with John Travolta where aliens come down and enslave humans and make us work, and then we have a human who rebels, and the movie fell. Acting was awful, again awful. It was just, I watched it one time and then I couldn't watch it after then. I expect more from John Travolta. Come on, we had Pulp Fiction. It was just a cheesy sci-fi movie. And if you were going to do a movie that is similar to the premise, kind of, I mean, kind of Planet of the Apes, well, then you need to do just as good a job. Planet of the Apes, I know, is at the end you find out that he just time traveled to the future, but it is about a species making humans slaves and doing their bidding, and that movie was fantastic. Sorry. And that movie was done years and years and years and years before Battlefield Earth, what sounds like a kick-ass title, but wasn't a kick-ass movie. Number 4 is The Last Airbender. I was excited about this. They had to change the movie because it was the Avatar, because that's what the official cartoon is called, the Avatar, The Last Airbender. But the Avatar movie came out, so they changed the name. I was pumped about this. I love the cartoon. The way they do the cartoon is fantastic. They are doing another Airbender show. It is about 4 nations: water, earth, wind, and fire. The fire nation being the evil nation. And I can't remember the exact days or years, but I'll call it reincarnation, is an is a avatar. An avatar can learn all 4 elements. This avatar happened to be the last airbender because the Fire Nation had figured out which nation was going to birth the next avatar, and they killed everybody except for Aang. He had been frozen in ice. He had been waking up in the Water Nation. It is a really good, really good TV show. It's a really good cartoon. So I went, okay, the movie good. No, it wasn't. The airbending, the bending itself, that's what they call when they use the elements. They call it bending. It sucked. It fell flat. CGI was awful. It was awful. They crammed the whole entire story pretty much into one movie. Kind of. It was supposed to have sequels. But that's how much of a failure it was that they never did anything. Like, they have such a unique property on their hand, they just can't do. I'm really starting to not understand why you would take on a cartoon or anime, try to do it live action, and try to cram too much into it. Anime is done, cartoons are done in episodes. There's a reason, because they have so much to tell. And I don't mean to be biased against our country, but United States trying to make these things falls flat. I've watched live action anime done in Japan, and it sticks to the source material. I have an example of that. No, I'm getting off on a tangent a little bit, but I watched the live action Death Note. Awful, 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 awful. Not even close. I watched the live action Bleach, done in Japan. Much better. Wasn't quite, but then again, you can't get as much into the animation. Ghost in the Shell, another one. Anyways, a little tirade there. 3 is Jaws: The Revenge. I love the original Jaws. Steven Spielberg is the man. Um, it should have been left alone. The sequel was okay, pushing it. Jaws 3 was horrible. They had to push that 3D at us, just like every other horror movie did. But Jaws: Revenge is just awful. The shark looked awful. And it had a grudge. It had a grudge against a family who killed his relative. So much so that when the mom um, moved to, I can't remember where she went. See, it's such a horrible movie, but sharks shouldn't have been in that water. Like, you're talking about going from freezing cold water to tropical water. No, logically, the shark should have died on its travel. The shark shouldn't have been able to travel that far. But for some reason, now we're talking about like a supernatural shark. The end sequence, they completely ripped off from the first movie. Like, they didn't do anything original. There's even clips of the end that is from the first movie when they blew up the shark. Like, come on, guys. Now you're just trying to, like, make money and drill on this awesome movie that was inventive and anyways, just makes me upset. Number 2 is Geely. I don't know if you watched this movie or not. It is awful. It has Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. Ben Affleck plays a hitman who doesn't want to, I hate saying this, doesn't want to kill the mentally retarded, mentally challenged kid. So him and Jennifer Lopez end up taking care of him. Jennifer Lopez plays a lesbian who Ben Affleck tries to hook up with the whole entire movie. The chemistry between them is sad, and what is even more sad is they were dating at the time. The acting was sad. I love Jennifer Lopez. I've had a crush on her since the moment I first seen her first music video. But this movie is just awful. Like, you think that Ben Affleck's Daredevil is awesome or awful? Go watch this movie. You'll think that the Daredevil movie is a freaking Christopher Nolan movie. Like, oh man, this movie is just awful. Go check it out if you want. If you are constipated and you can't poop and you need to kill some time to try to poop, this movie might actually make you poop. Number 1, I'm about to go on a tirade because this just pissed me off. I really don't get mad because cinema is about expression of one's opinion and oneself. I know that there are movies that are rushed and there are movies that are just made to be made. I really try not to judge because when you are getting into this thing, we don't judge. When you look at yourself and you stop caring about what other people think, that not judging will help with that. It all intertwines. However, this movie just pisses me off. So coming at number 1 is Dragon Ball Z Evolution. I am a huge Dragon Ball fan. I love Dragon Ball Z. It is my favorite anime of all time, hands down. However, they were doing a live action. I was skeptical and excited at the same time. So I get this movie and I watch it, and it's the worst. First of all, it's a bad movie on movie standards. The plot is janky. The storytelling is janky. The whole thing is just bleh. So you have that. Because Goku lives with Master Roshi. He is going to school. He meets Chi-Chi. Bulma is hunting for the Dragon Balls. She meets Yamcha. Then there's this whole thing about Goku being bullied at school. There is a little bit of the martial arts tournament, but Goku's not in it. It is Chi-Chi. They do talk about the Great Ape. Piccolo is the bad guy. Goku turns into the Great Ape with the full moon, and he eventually beats his inner demon, and they beat Piccolo. So, from a story standpoint, this movie is just blah. From a Dragon Ball Z fan, I am gonna choke somebody. Like, come on. First of all, Goku was founded by Grandpa Gohan. Hence why Gohan's name is Gohan. Second of all, Goku teams with Bulma when he was young. And he had one of the Dragon Balls. They left that the same. But he wasn't in high school. He wasn't a teenager. He was a child. It is when he becomes older that he, and Krillin, who's not in this movie, trained under Master Roshi. Okay? Then they fight the demon Piccolo. Goku hits him so hard that he spits out an egg. Nowadays, Piccolo, our Piccolo, Dragon Ball Z's Piccolo, Goku competes in the World Martial Arts Tournament, loses. They do have Yamcha, but they do not have Tien. And halfway through the movie, he is learning how to airbend? Like, get the ever-loving F out of here. He is being taught by Chi-Chi how to airbend. What? Ugh. That's not how this goes, man. They could have picked any story. They could have picked the Saiyan saga. Could have picked the Android saga. Could have picked the Cell saga. Could have picked the Boo saga. Could have started out with Dragon Ball, for heaven's sake, and did a world martial arts tournament. Like, that would have been cool. Like a teenage Goku. Like, I gotcha. So, we start off, and we do the little thing with Goku being small. Then we fast forward to Teen Goku. We had a montage of maybe doing his training. Then we do the World Martial Arts Tournament. Can you imagine Tien and Yamcha and Krillin? Come on, you left out Krillin. I love Dragon Ball Z. I watch Team 4 Stars parody on Dragon Ball Z. I love Team 4 Stars take. It is funny. I know they ripped at stuff, which is good. I hate this movie. I don't know how many times I can say that. So, with that being said, those are the worst ranked movies, and I ranked them. I hope you had fun listening to me rant. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And then till next time, much love. JD out.